is two pictures. One is I'm looking at the side of your spinal cord. The spinal cord comes down in the central spinal canal like this. The brain is up here, and this is the back of your neck here, and then your faces and chin are about here. The spine has vertebral bodies one on top of the other. So this is C2, C3, C4, C5, and right here at C3-4, you can see that the canal. You don't see this fluid. If this is the spinal cord coming down, you should see fluid, this white stuff on each side of the cord. If you look horizontally across the cord, across the canal, you see the spinal cord sitting in a space. It looks like an egg. You see that? The yolk is the cord, and the white is the spinal fluid. This is sort of more to a more normal level where your disc space in the front and the lamina in the back. So this is a horizontal cut here. As you move up the spine, though, the cord, it looks a little bit smaller here because at this level, it's really getting compressed. Right here, the cord doesn't have a lot of room to maneuver, and probably just from chronic compression, it's being pushed on and giving what's called a myelopathy. There's also a potential that you have. If you look at the spinal cord, it looks like there's a little brightness in the cord. That's ongoing spinal injury. And one of the reasons why this may be happening here is because if we look at this X-ray, right at C3-4, which is here, it looks like that you may have a little bit of extra mobility, that this vertebral body is sort of slipping forward off the spine. You see how these are all lined up like that? And then this is translated forward on the level below. And this extra translation, extra motion is probably enough with the narrowing that when you move your neck, you're chronically, hitting on your spinal cord and developing a myelopathy, which is preventing you from using your hands and making your walking a problem. Your reflexes are very brisk also, because when your spinal cord gets compressed, your reflexes get brisk. So
what does that mean, brisk?
It means that you almost have a spasticity. Like when you injure the spinal cord, that's what happens. So you have both subjective complaints you're talking about, difficulty with buttoning buttons, difficulty walking, and objective findings of just hyperreflexia that are very concerning. And if this isn't fixed, you really could progress to the point you'd need a wheelchair to get around, within a finite period of time. So what I would recommend that you consider doing is what's called an anterior cervical discectomy infusion, where we come in the front of your neck, we make an incision in the front of your neck, and what we do is we come in this way, like this. We remove this disc, we decompress the cord, and then we basically take a graft that's basically made like a square. The graft kind of goes in the disc space like that. And then we put a screw here, we put a screw there, and a little plate. There's actually a standalone device that's an all-in-one device, but what that does is it takes the pressure off the cord in the back, and then we create a small fusion right where that disc was removed. This shouldn't change your mobility or your function, but what it does do is it preserves your neurological function indefinitely. How much of your function you'll get back, I have no idea. You definitely have some ongoing injury to the cord, and so unfortunately, once you start injuring the cord, it's not a guarantee you'll get all the function back. But at minimum, we ought to preserve what you have. In my experience, most people do derive some benefit and get function back to a degree. But I'm concerned that if you don't do this, you're going to continue to get worse, and it could be dramatic. You could have a really significant decline in your neurological function. That you don't want to be in a wheelchair when you're 70 years old. So I think that it's something that's what they told you at Sinai also. Yeah, I agree.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
But I wasn't really